Hi, this is Greg Smalley on Pod 366, a Weird Movies podcast. I'm joined today by, as I often am, by Giles Edwards.
Hello.
Right, and our special guest today, Jason Trost of the FP series fame and a new project which we will hope to discuss.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
And Jason is in Australia.
I am down under.
Is that for a job or do you live there now?
No, it's indefinitely. I'm living here.
You're living there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because my wife's Australian. Why not? Free healthcare. Let's do it.
What a bold idea.
So let's start out going through the news of the week real quick. I will do most of that, and then Giles will handle most of the interview at the end. Either of you can jump in with anything if you have any thoughts about anything that's going on this week. We wanted to mention Panic Fest in Kansas City, largely because last week our guests, Gary Huggins' movie is playing there this week on the 19th, Kick Me. But it's a genre festival in Kansas City that also had a couple of other films probably of interest. One was Moon Garden, which is described as a Gilliam-esque fantasy that we saw playing somewhere else. Then there's another that we're going to look far down the road called Abruptio, which is a puppet film about a guy who has an explosive planted somewhere in his neck. And it's going to be very strange, I'm sure. The website did not list any synopsises for the movies they're showing, but I wonder if either of you saw anything that looked of interest there that you might know that I don't.
I'll take a pass on that one because I also noticed that there were no easy links to things and thought, oh, well, if they're not going to help me, I won't look too deeply.
Yeah, I didn't recognize anything, but my head's pretty in the sand these days, so I'm not really the guy who knows what's going on.
There was one thing I guess that I should mention. There's a Joe Lynch surprise film, which I don't know if that means it's a new film that he's premiering. He's a director who's done some kind of psychedelic horror stuff who's kind of interesting. But so that's it for if you're in Kansas City, check that out. Next one, this one is debuting in theaters this week. And it looks very Japanese, doesn't it? But it's from France, even though it's done in an anime style, and it is from a book of Japanese short stories by a famous writer whose name I probably can't pronounce correctly, famous in Japan, Haruki Murakami. And in it, a toad and a giant toad, as we can see, and a schizophrenic accountant and a cat and some other characters try to save Tokyo from an earthquake. They have a trailer out, which we will link to. It's called Blind Willow Sleeping Woman. Any thoughts on this, guys?
Looks like Amelie meets Studio Ghibli. I'm in.
Yeah. It sounds like, well, from the trailer, now that you've clarified, it's from a number of short stories. The disconnects, or shall we say lack of focus in the trailer, makes a lot more sense now. So guess this is going to be one of those great ensemble kind of melodramas with, yes, the human-sized toad there with that unfortunate accountant fellow. So yeah, I'd say I'm in too.
And this, yeah, it looks like it's going to be really cool. And also, it's a little strange to me. This is the second French animation in about 10 years that's being done in the anime style, because that MKFZ movie also had really heavy.
Judging from this in particular, I wouldn't say it's completely anime style. Certainly all the characters seem to be more traditional anime from what I've seen, but a lot of the background, certainly in this, small kitchen here, definitely is something I could see in was at the Triplets of Belleville, that vein of French art animation. So a neat mashup there.
Indeed. So that will probably be hard to catch, but if you can find it playing in theaters, do so. And if not, it'll be out, I'm sure, other places soon enough. This is a movie called Tommy Guns that we spotlighted when it was at New Directors, New Visions at the Museum of Modern Art. It now is out in theaters, probably for a very limited run, and we'll have it has a trailer out now, so we finally got to check out the trailer, and it has very strong art house vibes. It's set in Portugal or in Angola during their war for independence from Portugal, and there's a supernatural element to it that creeps in. It's supposed to be a genre hopping movie, which is one reason why I was interested in it. Guys, any thoughts?
I mean, is it about some kids trying to resurrect Tommy the Gun from Rocky Five? Because that would be a great plot.
It is not, but that would be a good plot.
There's opportunity
Tommy
there, yeah.
Tommy the Gun, Anyway.
Yeah, no, this the trailer looked really cool because it definitely started out with a sort of coming of age wartime art house vibe, and then it nicely segued into one of the better uses of ironic counterpoint music for the second half of the trailer, where things were getting kind of grimmer, even from a pretty grim base. And then however they did the editing, or the director for this trailer, the final shot of that trailer was just wonderfully out of the blue, and a great little sort of jolt exclamation mark at the end there. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah, and you can watch that trailer on the site along with this webcast. Let's go on. Now, this one, I assume everybody's heard of. I really like this movie. It's, a lot of people have probably already caught it. It's going to be, the Blu-ray is probably going to be for really big fans of the movie. Unfortunately, it didn't list any kind of special features or anything.
Nor do I even see the phrase 4K on there. I mean,
no. It's Brandon Cronenberg's Infinity Pool, in case you can't see the image in front of us, with Mia Goth putting in a great performance, one of her villain roles, and Alexander Skarsgård being sort of a, her hapless pawn. It's about white privilege in our more wealthy privilege in the third world, in a mythical third world country where you can have a clone of yours pay for any crimes you commit, which sends these people into some sort of really depraved behavior. Giles, I don't think you ever saw it, did you?
I have not seen it yet, but it is just a matter of time.
Have you seen it?
It's on my list. I keep almost watching it, but then no one will watch it with me. So
it's you got to be, if you're into sci-fi horror,
I am. It's hard swaying the people, like, because I like to watch movies with people, and it's always like, what are we going to watch? And I'm like, how about this one? They're like,
you're that. Yeah, I think we're all that guy that in a group, and I want to watch the movie, the French anime movie.
Yeah.
But lots of people are going to want to check out Infinity Pool. This one get a really quick mention because it's just another reissue of The Fisher King from Criterion Collection. They've already issued it. This is the 4K UHD that we've all been waiting for. I don't think they added anything new to it. I know Giles is I think Giles is a big fan of Robin Williams and The Fisher King.
Yeah, I mean, Robin Williams and Jeff Bridges, it's a fantastic pairing. I've seen this movie actually only once and have no real ambition to do so again because it's tough on the viewer. It's, probably Gilliam's second most emotional and just, kind of disturbing film in that regard. So I'm definitely happy to see that Criterion is holding on to the rights and releasing good editions of it. But I don't see myself, putting myself through that again.
Okay.
But highly recommend.
Oh,
Yeah, I kind of reiterate the same thing. It's hard. I love Robin Williams and I think he's fantastic, but ever since he died, it's still been kind of hard for me to watch things that he's in because in my age group and generation, he was kind of like Hollywood, like movie dad. So in
Mm.
kind of a weird way, it feels like your movie dad died. And every time you go, like, I'll watch Jumanji and just start crying. It's like it's not a sad movie, but he's just in it, and I'm just like, oh God, I'm not ready yet.
oh, and then yeah, this one would be a little depressing from that.
I know. I try to stay away because he's got a couple of those where he's really good at them, and I haven't been able to take the plunge yet.
Well, at any rate, a lot of people are fans of this movie, and it's going to be a great addition. So, and we were complaining about how they never seem to put really good films out on 4K UHD. It's always some Italian giallo that no one ever heard of. So it's nice to see Criterion getting into the game. This one is another
Oh god.
big release. A surprising sort of 20th anniversary edition for House of 1000 Corpses.
Gosh, has it really been that long?
It's been
Yeah,
20 years.
I was about to say I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid, and yep, 20
Yep.
years.
Yeah, I think I got it shortly after it was on VHS, or it might have been, let's see, actually it probably was a DVD that I rented for that one. And
Yeah,
I was kind of bored, but I know there's a massive fan base for this and Mr. Zombie's outings in general. So I'm happy for them. This edition looks incredibly cool. So rock and
yeah.
roll.
I think I saw it at a time too when I didn't really understand or appreciate the sort of movies that it was going after. You know, like the sort of like B horror movie thing. Like I didn't really those kind of grindhousey movies weren't in my I guess my peripheral as much back then. I've seen so many more of them now. I think I'd appreciate it a lot more if I saw it
Mm.
now. But as like a 16-year-old kid or whatever, watching that in high school with our friends, and like, what the hell is this? I don't think that was the right way to watch that.
Yeah, so to describe the release, I mean, it's a Blu-ray. There's going to be new special features. There's going to be old special features, but it comes with a bunch of artwork, which I think is it's sort of the big grab for the box for fans. And the fans are really fans of this. It's got a poster. It's got 6 art cards. I think that they're all drawn by Rob Zombie. It's got a 60-page booklet with art. I have a little quick story I'll tell about this. When I saw it, I gave it a really bad review. It was one of the first movies I reviewed. I gave it a terrible review. And then last year, I worked on a movie set with Robert Mukes, who played one of the Firefly clan in House of 1000 Corpses. And I was just praying he didn't look up my review, although I didn't mention him or his performance. And he's a great guy. I love him to death.
Oh wow, this is 1.5 paragraph review, Greg. That is impressively dismissive.
It's, you know, and that's when being a critic sometimes, when you don't want to be too, you definitely don't want to be mean to individuals if you can avoid it.
Right.
You never know. I never would have guessed I'd be working with this guy, driving him around in my car. So, but that's my House of 1000 Corpses story. And he still makes a living off House of 1000 Corpses, going to horror conventions and signing posters and things.
Oh god, yeah, I can believe it.
This is something that just popped up on my radar out of nowhere. It's called Leda. It is a black and white, I believe, silent film that dramatizes the myth of Leda and the Swan. And if you know that story from mythology, I think this takes a sort of, from what I can gather, takes a sort of a modern spin on it, with it being more of a traumatic story. It looked quite surreal from what I saw. And it, like I say, it just kind of popped out of nowhere. Don't remember playing any festivals. It just shows up on Blu-ray, independent movie, self-funded. It is 3D also.
Yeah, I saw that. Their website was impressively Spartan. There was a link to pre-order the thing. There was a trailer for the thing, which I guess covered the atmosphere and setting for this, and that was it. And so yeah, the fact that they went and did this in 3D, I generally don't think that should happen, but considering the nature of this project, I'm actually kind of curious about that now.
I can't physically see 3D, so it's never a big interest to me, but hats off to them.
Show off. Oh wait, no.
It is available in 2D too, so.
All right, well, maybe I'll check it out then.
I had never considered that some people actually can't see 3D.
I didn't realize it until 3D movies started coming out. I thought I could because I don't know, before I have no idea, but then when Avatar and all that stuff started coming out, I was like, oh, I guess this isn't a thing for me. It's just a darker movie. These stupid glasses.
Wow. Last one I'm going to mention is AmnesiA. Don't know much about this. It's from Cult Epics, who will put out some interesting stuff. Lately, they have been doing a lot of soft core type movies, but the owner likes the more surreal type of soft core movies, and I believe this one is going to fit into that genre. I don't really, the trailer doesn't give away much. There's a double performance. A guy plays himself in a twin. There are traumatic memories. There's a hot girl. I'm betting she gets naked, and there's going to be some trippy imagery.
Actually, maybe not. It depends, because the poster or item on the IMDb has the age 12 stamped on it. This, of course, might be more of a Netherlands kind of 12, so they may have different standards there. But I'm thinking this is going to be much more psychological than the not psychological bit you mentioned. So yeah, I looked very briefly around at this, and I imagine it may well be very interesting, but we may not get to it.
It would be a departure from what they've been releasing lately for it not to be a softcore sex film, but I admit I don't know much about it, so that was probably just an assumption that I was making. Perhaps it is just a psychological drama.
And I may be wrong too, because I have not seen it. So,
I'm out of the loop on these. I left softcore movies behind in high school. I haven't been keeping up.
Well, Giles, what was the one from them you reviewed recently?
it was like Playing with Fire or something like that.
By Elaine Relay, which is
from 1975. So that was definitely the decade for it. Yeah, Alain Robbe-Grillet, the fella who wrote Last Year at Marienbad, wrote a sexy romp thriller sort of in the style of Godard. So that's got something for everybody.
Okay. Well, we got through those in reasonably quick time, which is very good, because now we can focus on our guest. And before Giles takes over the reins and asks you about the latest movie, FP, I just wanted to give you a chance to tell us what you can tell us about the movie you have coming up, which you've just sort of been teasing on Twitter. We don't have any sort of information, so what can you tell us?
Yeah, I can tell you what I know. I mean, I have a finished script, and I'm starting to build the sets in the background, like on the computer and all that, because it's a very visually complicated movie that I haven't seen done before, and I'm still in the is this going to work or not stage. But I think so. It's basically going to be like the entire movie is almost one shot. It'll be a fake one shot, but like a side-scrolling video game, and it's all in real time, or just goes like left to right and then maybe back again. We'll see. And it's based on those like horror black and white video games, but at the same time, it's kind of a loose adaptation of Call of Cthulhu. So it's quite something else. And I've been just doing lots of testing and lots of R&D on how I'm going to achieve that. Shooting it for real is out of the question. So it's going to be a green screen thing with me using some of my techniques from FP3 and 4, but in a more photorealistic way. And then making that all a kind of black and white, I guess, like 40s, 50s horror sort of thing. But we'll see. It's in the crock pot right now.
So is it going to be serious horror or comedy horror?
It's serious horror, but I'm sure people will laugh and give it a 1.5 paragraph review. We don't go into Other people, I think, might think it's serious. It's
Those
not like
Gen Xers, man.
it's
All
not
right.
dead serious. It definitely has some of my, flavor in it, but it's more serious than the FP.
It
All right. Take over with your questioning.
more serious than the FP. I guess I'd have to think hard to find something less serious than the FP, at least if the latest addition to it is any indication of the broader saga.
Yeah. I mean, I think 5 will go ahead and take care of that, but
Oh, is it they're going to turn the corner into some high drama with the fifth installment, or
oh, I think each one gets more and more dramatic, and that's what, in my opinion, makes it funnier to make for me, because they get more and more dramatic, but the situation gets more and more ridiculous.
okay, no,
That for me is the humor of the FP movies.
yeah, actually, before we continue too far, I wonder if you can very quickly explain the inspiration for the FP and a sort of broad outline of the world of the FP, so that those unfamiliar might have an idea.
Sure. I mean, I have a very sarcastic sense of humor. I was always kind of an oddball in high school, so I'd always like spend my time just kind of like looking at people and being like, "Oh, that's ridiculous." And I used to love parody movies, but my problem with parody movies was always that they really let you know that it's a joke. Like there's a lot of winking at the camera, like those older, like I love Airplane and stuff like that, but like it was like around the scary movie times and those things, you're like, this is obviously just a joke. And then so I kind of developed the FP and other movies I would make to where I just make fun of movies and things that I think are stupid, but with a completely straight face. And that was just kind of my sense of humor with it. And that's why to this day, a lot of people think the FP is serious and like, you're a racist asshole, you're this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, look, I'm on your side. I'm just shining a mirror who I thought were stupid racist assholes. And I just kind of showed my opinion of them. I guess I did it too well. And, so then we dialed some of that back because I didn't want that just to be what the movies were known for. I was like, I'm just making fun of people. It's just, they used to call it satire back in the day. With everything, becoming what it is now, comedy's become very hard because everything offends this person or that person. Like, I totally get it, but I think there still has to be like, I still would like to be able to be like, I don't like these things. I can punch up and say that like these people who suck, like, can I still say they suck? I think so. You can, and you could think I suck. That's fine. But this is my opinion on the things that suck around me. And I, kind of layer that within this post-apocalypse dance, sci-fi, fantasy, God knows what. Every time we add another genre to it, who knows what it'll be by the next one. And I don't know. It's really hard to explain because just been kind of something that like I'm always like I'm never going to make another one of those, and then it becomes popular, and people are like, we'll give you money to make more. I'm like, okay, I'll make another one. And I try to go out and make something else, and that doesn't work. And then they're like, all right, make another one. And now I'm just like, I guess I'll just keep making them.
Yeah, I was going to say, because he kept not making another one for about a 12-year stretch, judging from the.
I think it was about 7 years was the stretch I've gone before a different movie that wasn't FP this point, but I have been making them for at least 12 years. I think I've been making them for like almost 20 years at this point. But if you count the shorts I made in high school.
Yeah. Some of the dates on that. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned because I also mentioned in my review of FP for Evs that perhaps the most impressive feat you achieve within that movie is keeping that straight face. There, over the course of the 80 minutes or so, is like absolutely no indication that these people weren't deadly serious about
it's very deliberate because I love B movies, probably more so than even you can give me like the top 10 movies that win Oscars or whatever. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll watch it once. I agree, it's very well made. I'm never watching this again. But a B movie, the joy you get out of that, and you like have to show all your friends, you watch them over and over again, the replay value, like I just love those movies because they're all about entertaining you. And what I love about B movies is generally all the classics I love that like the reason why they're ironically funny and whatnot is because the people who are there tried as hard as they could to make a concept work that just couldn't with the money they had or the technology they had or et cetera, et cetera. So I like setting myself up in impossible scenarios where like you could never make this movie good, but then having everyone try as hard as they can to make it good. And then I think humor comes organically from that instead of like I've seen a lot of these like B movie parody things to where the actors are doing fake bad acting on purpose and they're like kind of being really winky and it's like it's really cringy to me. And whenever people like couple my movies with those, I'm like, God damn it, I didn't do a good enough job. People think it's a joke. So it's always me trying to like, we didn't try hard enough. Like that's what I don't want these movies to be. I I want them to be organic B movies, and it's very hard to make these days when people are in on the joke of what a B movie is. So I kind of always set myself up to fail so that it can be a actually legitimate B movie.
Well, I certainly commend you. Well, see, yeah, I guess fail is an awkward term because I'd say in very many ways, certainly with FP for Evs, you succeeded greatly with what I think you went out to do. And yes, with I imagine the budget you actually had, and certainly the one you tried to telegraph, that yes, there was a bit of reaching for something epically massive there.
Oh yeah, no, I mean our budget, you couldn't even fly Robert Downey Jr. two set with our budget. Like he's not coming home. You can get him two set maybe on our budget, but someone else is gonna have to pick up the bill for his chopper home. Like, yeah, but that's how I mean, it keeps the bullshit out of it, because the higher the budget, just like the less control you have and the more crap and the more focus group it becomes. And I've become just so sick of how focus group movies have become. And everyone's freaking out now, like, oh my God, AI is going to start writing movies. And it's like, it already has. It's been doing it for 10 years. Like, there's the focus group AI. They come through there. There's 40 guys, usually a bunch of white rich guys in a room, telling you what they want the movie to be, and everyone's an exec, and they all have to raise their hand to validate their job and say, I want this scene in. And everyone's like, great, I want this scene in. And then it feels like you have 40 different movies that were compiled by an AI, because it's basically just this organic AI of rich people saying, I want this scene, I want that scene. Oh, this scene plays great in China. We really need to make money in China. And then it just, like, these movies, like, I don't even know what I'm watching anymore. And I'm like, am I really that old already? Am I already like screaming at my lawn? And I'm like, I don't think so. I think corporate greed has just gotten out of control in the last 10 years, but that's a different conversation. And these movies are the anti-corporate greed. And I always want to keep them that way. There's been so many times when people are like, why don't we do FP bigger? We could make it a show, or we could do this and that. I'm like, no, I'll discuss any other idea with you, but not that one. That one is my anti-corporate greed film.
Well, more power to you. Yeah, yeah. And the topic of money, one thing that I guess I am curious about, at least with the latest one, how do you go about looking for a cast for that? I imagine a number of them started perhaps as relatives. I know you did the original one with your brother, and I'm sure any number of potentially, friends or extended family. But say for this latest edition, like, was there fresh blood? How do you get fresh blood and interest in a project that is this particular?
I mean, just people who are my friends, and I'm like, they have to be my friends or family, long story short. And the people I've worked with for a long time, like, I'll bring a lot of actors back again and again if they, like, share the dream, because these movies aren't about making money. It's about just making something cool. And there's a lot of creatively frustrated, very talented people. They could be working on really big movies or have real jobs, but you never quite get to do anything creative that, like, fulfills you. So I like to just kind of make it a safe haven for those people. And, you seek them out over time. And, like, there'll be a lot of times too where someone hasn't really acted before, but I just kind of get a sense or a vibe that they'd be interested. And with my movies, I write everything for people I already know exist. I don't try to be like, oh, who am I going to cast for this part? Let's find out. I always know it's all kind of made in the pre-production part of it. I don't like the surprise. I used to do that, and then you get surprised in a very bad way, because you have to go out and try to find someone who fits this, and, like, that person does not share the same indie spirit the rest of the team does, and that's just such a catastrophic cancer that sucks the life out of everything. When one person has to remind everyone else how much bigger and better they are, it can be quite distracting to the artistic process. And then you have to kind of just, like, pull out the gloves and become like a parent and deal with a bunch of kids, and that's just not what I want to do.
No, yes, yeah, the desire for fun definitely comes across very well in that. And
yeah,
I will say,
if people on set don't want to have a good time and be creative, I don't really want to deal with them anymore. Like, I could care less what their name is. I don't want to work with the best person. I want to work with the people who want to be there the most. I think that always makes the best product. You can have the best actor in the world, but if they are phoning it in, it's going to be the worst performance you've ever seen. Like, it's unnecessary. And that goes with crew members too. And it's not just actors. There's a lot of diva crew members as well that, like, I'm the best DP or this or that. And you're like, okay, great. Can you turn on the camera? Can we get to work? Like, I know you told everyone how cool you are for an hour, but can we start lighting the scene? You go through a lot of that, and everyone's like, oh, you're too young to, like. I'm like, look, I've been doing this for 30 years at this point, because I grew up on sets. I've been on sets since I was 6 years old. And, like, I've seen it all. I've done it. I've done the corporate side of it. I'm not talking out of my ass. I've done so much of the corporate side. I'm very done with it. I kind of view myself as retired at this point. I'm just the old man working on his train set in the garage. Every season I make a new train set out there, and you know, very simple and happy.
Yeah, gets you through to the next year's train set. I guess speaking of corporate and DP, how's your brother doing?
I don't actually know. I haven't spoken to him in a few years.
Oh,
Sorry,
oops.
Well, here he's good. Oh. Probably.
Let's see. Watch as I lightning fast recover from that slip up
No,
there.
again, it's the corporate world, you know. Don't want to get into it too much. Don't need to take the podcast down that direction.
Okay, I will not do that then.
Yeah, it's all right.
Let's see. In regards to future projects, there's obviously the item you just mentioned, which had a whole lot of words I quite liked, including Cthulhu, 40s, 50s horror, one-shot side scroller. So that I am definitely looking forward to.
Yeah. Hopefully, all that comes to fruition. You know.
Yeah. Is that going to be? Because I think I read something Kickstarter histories for these kinds of things. Is that something you will eventually?
I'll get into that at some point, but it's kind of impossible for me to start one of those up until at least I have like a demo going. In order to do that, I have to do quite a bit of work to show people what it's going to look like. I can tell them what this is going to look like all day and night, but until you see it, I don't think you're going to understand what I'm actually doing. And I'm good. I mean, FP4 released well, so I'm kind of like in a very rare stage I've never been in before, where I don't have to rush the next thing out the door.
Oh, good.
So I'm actually kind of, it's nice. I get to spend my time on this, and like then, you know, I'm sure this experiment will, you know, do what it's going to do, and it'll find itself eventually, and I'll be right back to FP5 next year, and there it is.
Oh, excellent. Well, we are heading toward the end of our unpaid Zoom privileges here. Greg, you know, we have at least one more question. Do you have any not that questions?
Yeah, I have a not that question that we need to get out. Where is the best place for people to follow you on the internet? Where can we see what you're up to?
I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, all with either like the JTro or Jason Trost or Jason W Trost. One of those sort of. Instagram is at Jason W Trost, I believe. Twitter is at the JTro, and I believe you can just search Jason Trost on Facebook and you'll find me. And if you need to find anything more, in my profile on all of those, there is a Linktree link that had a link to everything you could ever need that I've done, whether you want to buy my movies, digital, physical, you want to see where my YouTube channel is, anything like that, it's all on that list. And I update it regularly when there's new things for the, like, there's a new Indiegogo or a Kickstarter or anything like that, it'll all be up there. So even if you hate all of those things, just go find that link, which I believe is Linktree/JTro Presents. And you can just follow that if you're not a social media fan.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We do have like 2.5 minutes, which should be enough time to cover the final question.
So,
Giles?
We've developed a tradition here, started a few years ago. We like to ask all the filmmaker types that we get to talk to, what's your hometown, and can you recommend a restaurant there?
Oh God. So my hometown obviously is Frazier Park, the FP. And a restaurant there, I can't recommend a restaurant anymore because they're all pretty, you know, I guess they're edible. But there is one, actually, it's on the freeway right when you're pulling off the Frazier Park exit in the dirt lot, and it's this taco truck. And that taco truck has excellent tacos and burritos. I don't remember what they're called because they're just the taco truck, and that's what's referred to as, but it's across the street from the Flying J gas station in a dirt lot. That's the best we got.
That's the best answer since the guy who recommended the hot dogs at Home Depot.
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar scenario.
What about your hometown currently?
Oh yeah.
That is my hometown currently, as in like where I live now.
Oh yeah, if you feel at home there.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Sydney, so we have a lot of options. I think in the proximity, I would go with Saray's, which is downstairs, which is Turkish Lebanese pide place. Fantastic. And it's downstairs, so got me through the pandemic.
Wow,
directly below your apartment.
Basically, yeah. Like down to the left or right, depending on which way you're exiting.
Amazing. All
Yeah.
right. Well, Jason, Trost, thank you very much for coming on, and everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, everybody check out the FP if you haven't. If you're an FP fan, you probably have seen them all. So
You know what we're
check them
talking
out
about.
again, though. And look for the upcoming Cthulhu Scroller project, which sounds super cool. And we'll be back next week with GB Hajim, who directed Strange Frame, Lovin' Saxon has a new movie. But that's it for us today. Thank you, everyone, and we're out of here.